Do you think your website is up to date? If you answered yes, then that is great, but can you spot the hidden design mistakes that could be hurting your user experience? Watch this video to test your UX knowledge and maybe discover some design trends to avoid. Let's just dive right into it, starting with trend number 1, sliders with way too many images. Have you ever stumbled upon a website that has a giant slider that takes forever to load and has a million tiny photos? Yeah, that's not a good look. Instead, focus on a single high-impact visual that captures the attention of all the users. Or, if you need to showcase multiple visuals, make sure to use a carousel with clear controls so the users can navigate at their own pace. All right, moving on to trend 2, we have intrusive pop-ups. Pop-ups can be a great way to capture leads, but when they take up your entire screen and scream for an email address, it feels like a digital mugging. Instead, you should go for subtle opt-in forms and slide-in modals that appear after a user has spent quite some time on the website. This is less intrusive and more likely to give you a positive response. Moving on to trend number 3, we have unnecessary animations and auto-playing videos. We get it, animations can be fun, but when your website looks like a disco ball on Red Bull, it becomes overwhelming and quite distracting. Instead, you should use animations sparingly and for specific purposes. Also, let users control video playback, and remember that sometimes less is more. Moving on to trend number 4, which is probably one that you've guessed already, stock photos that are way too generic. Generic stock photos scream low budget and do nothing to help you stand out from the crowd. Instead, you should invest in high quality custom photography, illustrations, or even 3D modeling, but make sure it resonates with your brand and with your audience, and trust me, it is worth it. And lastly, moving on to trend number 5, which is illegible fonts or just way too many fonts. There's a reason why Cosmic Sans is not used on legal documents. When your website includes illegible fonts or just way too many, it becomes very difficult to read. Instead, choose clear, readable fonts that are consistent with your brand and with your audience, and just make sure that your parents or your grandparents can read it. If not, it doesn't work. Now that we've exposed some of these trendy traps, let's talk about some principles that help you build a functional and beautiful website. First one is very obvious, just make sure that you know your users. Quick and simple here, just make sure you're conducting user research to make sure you're understanding their needs and making sure their browsing experience is smooth. Next one is very important and surprising that a lot of people actually miss out on this one, but mobile matters. Make sure that your website is optimized and responsive enough for all devices, so mobile, tablets, everything. Next one, very easy to guess as well, but accessibility for all. Make sure that your website is in compliance with the WCAG guidelines, and also just make sure that you're checking the color contrast between your fonts and your background. And pro tip, don't use pure white or pure black. Try and find alternatives that fits the use case that you're going for. Like I said earlier, way too many interactions could make for a bad user experience, so maybe just try to go for more subtle interactions. A principle that helps is that micro interactions can really elevate the customer experience. So maybe just when you're clicking a button, maybe just the loading screen, whatever you're doing for micro interactions could really help elevate how I feel when I'm browsing through your website. And last principle to keep in mind is white space is your friend. There's way too many times, especially in my current job and in previous projects, where way too much copy or content is filling the page, and white space is very needed so that the user can digest all the content efficiently. All in all, that is to say, don't clutter your design. Leave elements to breathe and make sure that it's very appealing and easy to navigate. Just remember that trends come and go, but focusing on user needs and best practices will actually help you create a website that passes the test of time. Let me know about some of the worst website experiences that you've encountered in the comments down below. And if you're looking for more tips about UX design or just design in general, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Once again, thank you again for watching, and I will see you in the next one.